Veterans of Escape from Butcher Bay and The Darkness have come together as new developer Machine Games, who in turn have been entrusted with developer id Software's oldest property in Wolfenstein. The result is The New Order, a shooter at the mercies of both old-school blast-em-up first-person games and the narrative ambitions of its new stewards. And, shockingly, Machine Games makes it work brilliantly. Wolfenstein: The New Order is a more or less direct sequel to 2009's Wolfenstein. The world and its history is different. The Nazis have found ancient technology that have allowed them to tilt the war in their favor. The New Order starts in 1946, as series mainstay BJ Blazkowicz leads a last-ditch mission to kill Death's Head, the lead scientist and strategist of the Reich's dark plans for the world. That plan fails. Blazkowicz is rendered a comatose John Doe for more than a decade. When he finally regains consciousness, his world is a waking nightmare. The war is over. The Nazis have won. The world and more is theirs. With Wolfenstein: The New Order, Machine Games has created this wonderfully realized kind of retro sci-fi world, full of 60 CRT screens and hyper-advanced artificial intelligences and smart weapons. It's space race aspirational art mixed with Nazi propaganda. It makes for a world that seems surreal, but I found myself easily invested in it nonetheless. It's strong, consistent with its own logic, and Machine Games does an excellent job of subverting historical events by nudging or yanking them in a different direction thanks to the Reich's world domination. This sensibility is occasionally mined for laughs. Seeing 60s pop music filtered through the Nazi messaging machine is beautifully absurd, but there's also a consistent undertone of horror. More than any World War II shooter I've played, The New Order is focused on the human consequences of the Nazis and war in general, and there's enough view of people just trying to live to sketch that tragedy effectively. All of this should sit awkwardly with the old-school shooting gameplay that dominates The New Order. Its level design is predicated around lots of guns, all the time, with almost no regenerating health system to speak of. Blazkowicz carries an arsenal, and figuring out which weapons to use at which time is a big part of Wolfenstein's puzzle. There are some modern considerations, like a perk system and weapon upgrades, and this seemingly mismatched combination of old and new design ideas actually fits together. Except for the boss fights. Where I enjoyed the combat flexibility The New Order presented me elsewhere, its larger event battles are mostly trial and error collections of death, followed by another try, and were easily my primary source of frustration in the game. But The New Order is held together, even propelled beyond the basic sum of its levels and mechanics, by its characters. There are multiple complicated relationships at play, and these aren't standard hoorah cheerleaders. There's a real sense of pain and loss, confusion and struggle that's depicted by the resistance that Blazkowicz becomes involved in. And despite some corny ideas here and there and some laugh-out-loud moments, I found myself emotionally invested in the people there. They make an almost Bondian plot that skips across Europe and beyond feel urgent and necessary. Wolfenstein has been the most consistently reinvented of its games, but it's also been the most consistently successful in those reinventions. Despite this, The New Order is a surprise. It's got all the workings of a good classic shooter, but in their trip back to that classic well, Machine Games has brought all of their talents to bear, making for a game that's so much more than that.